What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for taking a gamble with your audio entertainment today by listening to Ensayne Comics. I'm your host, Hayden Ensayne, aka Mr. Ensayne. Well, it's been a week, folks. I'm coming in hot from a 60-hour work week between two jobs and plunging back into another one, and will probably continue to do so, at least for the foreseeable future. Turns out it's actually kind of difficult to work that many hours, work out about 10 hours a week, write a little comic strip, produce an amateur show, and try to do like normal people stuff. And as an unorganized buffoon, I've certainly failed most of those things this week. One pretty neat thing that did happen this week, if you listened to last week's episode, I mentioned Edgar Rice Burroughs' adaptations like Deja Thoris at Dynamite Comics and the ERB universe at American Mythology. Well, at the thrift store I work at, we got a bunch of sci-fi, fantasy, and adventure novels from this one set of donations, and probably 10% to a quarter of those were Burroughs novels, which was, such a cool little coincidence to me that I really appreciated. I mean, there were probably like 50 or 60 unique titles, not counting duplicates, which illustrates, how prolific that guy was. And also how large that collection that was donated was. So, I really enjoyed going through that stuff. Also really enjoyed this week's episode of Stargirl, which I highly recommend. In the same vein as the earlier JSA photo, this latest episode featured a picture of the Seven Soldiers of Victory, which is pretty sweet. I especially enjoyed seeing Vigilante in the Golden Age Green Arrow. I'm hoping for a flashback episode with those guys, maybe, or at least another one with Wildcat and the original JSA. But even if we don't get that, Stargirl is just pure joy week to week. Now, although this show is a DC Universe original series, apparently Season 2 will be exclusively on CW. It's already on it at the day after DCU, but I hope that doesn't negatively affect it. And that most of the CW DC stuff isn't usually to my taste, so. And I also really hope that AT&T doesn't kill the DCU app, because that seems to be the fear with a bunch of these shows like Harley Quinn and Doom Patrol are moving to other services. And I really enjoy DCU. One of the best services I pay for. Now today, on Tuesday, I started listening to Halo Cryptum while I work. That, of course, is the first entry in the Forerunner trilogy, which is about the ancient history of the Halo universe. Pretty cool stuff. Ton of lore was expanded and created in that series. That's really cool. Now, I'm super hyped for Infinite, as I've said, at least the past 2 or 3 episodes, and I just wanted to consume more Halo media. So, I picked up Cryptum and also Fall of Reach with the Audible free trial. You get I got 2 credits, they're called. And I've actually read both of those before, but I just wanted to, have an audio experience that I can multitask with instead of just reading. And also, I'm kind of weird with audiobooks in that I usually only listen to books I've already read the prose form of, so, that's just me. Speaking of audio experiences, I've got a very weird episode today. I did a terrible job at interviewing my good buddy, Logan Cohn, so get ready for that. But for now, let's get into the new releases for the week. So each week I choose 5 comic books that I think you should be on the lookout for. None that I've actually read yet myself, but they have grabbed my attention for one reason or another. Now, the original idea was to have my episodes out maybe on Mondays to give you time to purchase them from my local comic shop, should you be so inclined. But until I can better structure my unfulfilling yet somehow busy life, that will remain a fantasy. This week is also the first week of Free Comic Book Summer, so I'll list those offerings at the end of this section. First off, we have not an entirely new comic, but rather a new collected edition with a few new add-ons. Black Sad, The Collected Stories, written by Juan Diaz Canales, and art by Juano Guarnido, and published by, in some cases, Dark Horse, and others, Penguin Random House, so maybe that depends on where you buy it from, I don't know. Black Sad, if you've never read it, is a fantastic noir crime comic with anthropomorphic animals that deals with very human problems like racism and much more. Imagine this as like the adult version of Zootopia for people more familiar with that kind of stuff. Black Sad is a Spanish comic printed in the European album size format, which if you're unfamiliar with, they usually run about 40 to 60 pages, and that's about twice or three times the page count of a standard American comic. And are much bigger. They're closer in size to a 10-inch LP. This collection comes with 5 full volumes. I've only read about 2 myself, but I really loved them. And also 2 new short stories that previously haven't been printed in English. I really appreciate the price point on this thing, which is $17.99. Considering that each individual volume is around $10 each, that's a pretty nice deal. And I'll definitely be partaking of myself. Black Sad actually may have to be a book club in the future. We'll see about that. Next up is the first issue of a 2-part limited series. 2020 I, Wolverine, published by Marvel Comics, art by Roland Boschi, and written by none other than Mr. Larry Hama. Super neat that he's writing for Marvel again. Any G.I. Joe fans out there will know, of course, that Hama has been the longtime runner of G.I. Joe comics. Yeah, this ties into the Iron Man 2020 stuff that they are doing, and stars Albert the Robot Wolverine that Hama co-created with Mark Silvestri in the 90s. Now, I've probably seen pictures of this guy before. I imagine him kind of like a Terminator Wolverine, but I'm definitely not familiar with the character himself, and his personality and everything. I certainly didn't know his name was Albert. This whole project just seems really special to me. So Larry coming back with the character he co-created is pretty cool. I'm interested in picking this one up. Speaking of the 90s and G.I. Joe, from IDW this week we have Snake Eyes Dead Game #1 by Rob Liefeld. I think this is an excellent pairing of IP and talent. I mean, Rob Liefeld drawing Silent Ninja Commando? Yes, please. This also feeds my anticipation for what will hopefully one day be a Snake Eyes film, should movies ever get made again. Yo, Joe. I've actually really been in a Spec Ops espionage kind of mood the past few years, and I actually been working on a book that's kind of my take on that, that whole super spy organization kind of concept, like with G.I. Joe or S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess Argus to some degree, yeah. Whatnot, so that's pretty neat to me. And in a similar vein, we have Our Fighting Forces #1, written by Priest. Just Priest, I'm not familiar with that writer. Well, I think Christopher Priest, but that's incorrect, I guess. Art by Christopher Mooneyham, and published by DC Comics. So this is a digital first 17-pager. I'm not sure if this was originally printed in one of those 100-page giants that DC has been doing through Walmart, because I know some of these digital firsts were put out that way. So like Ghost was in something like that with the Spectre. So I don't know. I guess maybe they aren't actually digital first after all. I don't know. Anyway, this story stars the Unknown Soldier, which is a character I've been meaning to get to know more, as I've only read the Vertigo reimagining of that character. So, go check that one out. Last pick of the week is Engine Word, #1, written by George Mann, drawn by Joe Yzma, and published by Vault Comics. This one sounds really neat to me, so let me just read the description to set it up. Earth is an ancient myth, long forgotten. Now, the word of the godlike Celestials is absolute, and they rule with brutal efficiency. When Joss, an engine word, discovers and reactivates the head of an ancient golem, she finds all is not as intended. Her destiny and that of her world lies somewhere far beyond the borders of her shantytown. So to me, this sounds like some Jack Kirby-inspired stuff if I've ever heard it. And I'm here for that. Definitely here for that. With the Eternals film delayed until next year, thanks COVID, and the New Gods movie coming one day, this might scratch that sci-fi neo-mythology itch, if you've got one. And I always do. The first week of Free Comic Book Summer kicks off this week, so here are those offerings. For Marvel, Free Comic Book Day X-Men #1 by John Hickman and Pepe Larraz. IDW Free Comic Book Day My Little Pony by Jeremy Whitley and Trish Fassner. Boom Studios Power Rangers Ranger Slayer by Ryan Parrott or Perot, not sure how to pronounce that, and Huang Danlin. From Paper Cuts, Asterix Free Comic Book Day Special by Renee Gonsini and Albert Urdoza. YJ Free Comic Book Day Weirin Books by Svetlana Chomakova. And from Chapter House Publishing, we have Captain Canuck and Captain Battle #1 by Keith Morris, Adrian Benson, Esteban Calvi, and Sergio Correa. So be sure to support your local comic shop this week if you can safely do so. Alright, so I would normally go over a few news topics at this point, but I decided to skip it for this week. So right after this, join me for a terrible, terrible interview with my good friend Logan Cohn, a.k.a. L3ghair. Welcome back to Ensayne Comics Book Club. Each week I pick a comic run, OGN, or even a single issue that I love to discuss. As I said earlier, I've really been enjoying the Stargirl series on DCU and CW, and while I've read some Courtney stories in JSA and a few appearances in animation like Justice League Unlimited, I realized that I haven't read her original series. So, for next week, I'll be reading Stars and Stripe by Jeff Johns, Lee Moder, and company. So, there's a few other guys. Forgot everybody else's name. Sorry. I'm probably going to read... I'm going to shoot for the first 6 issues, including the 0. So hopefully that happens. This week, I discuss the first story arc of Fables, but mostly other stuff, with my buddy Logan. Now, let me preface what you're about to hear by saying that I was not technologically prepared for this interview, my friends. For some reason, I was under the impression that you could just record conversations on Discord as that's just a function of the service, but that is not the case. Unfortunately, Logan was able to record the conversation for me, so I feel obligated to present this here, even if I get a little manic after being derailed in the recording process, because we definitely got on some severe tangents, which is my fault, and I assumed the role of Chris Farley in his McCartney interview sketch for this thing. Hey, let me see if I can do this real fast. Hey, remember when you did the Beatles? Yeah, that was awesome. That's what it's like throughout the whole thing. But we just kind of just jumped from one thing, almost not even finishing a complete thought, which is unfortunate. But this is, it's kind of funny because I wasn't even confident that I would even put this out, as you'll be able to tell when you hit listen. And but at any rate, it was a fun talk with my good friend, and it should give you a good idea about how it is to talk to me. So here's Logan Cohn talking Fables and much more. So you first got you were introduced to this world through Wolf Among Us, right?
Yes.
That's kind of interesting, like that whole Telltale games. Is dead now, is that right?
As far as I know, yeah, they took on far too many licenses for a studio of their size to be able to uphold at all. Because if you recall, every 3 months a new series of them was coming out.
So Walking Dead first one, of course. That's And Game of Thrones, pretty big.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you want to go even further back, they made the Back to the Future games.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, if you remember.
I remember seeing that name before for that Walking Dead game.
Right. Yeah, that's them. They made The Walking Dead, like you said, Game of Thrones, Guardians of the Galaxy, Tales from the Borderlands.
Yes, I played that first episode. Never got back to that.
Obviously, The Wolf Among Us. I want to say they also did the Minecraft story mode.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what's like having read this first volume, Legends in Exile? Like how does that influence like how you're thinking about what happens in Wolf Among Us? I can vaguely remember it myself.
Yeah,
there's some jarring things to me.
Yeah, as I was reading it, it was kind of giving me flashbacks to the game, like Snow's office and the flying monkey whose name I am forgetting at the moment.
Yeah, I can't remember it either.
They're both prominently featured in the game, and I don't know for sure because I haven't read the entire series, obviously, but Red in The Wolf Among Us is the central part of like the plot, and so it feeds into the first volume very well because again it both are whodunits about Red possibly dying, except in The Wolf Among Us they find her decapitated head, and I think it's the same girl. Yeah, it was Red. I think it's her because in the game it was definitely Red Riding Hood. I'm not sure if it was in the book. I imagine so.
I always thought I thought the game was Snow White's head. I guess it was.
Let me look it up real quick because I don't remember. I could be talking out of the side of my neck.
When I played it, I'm going there like, okay, this happens before the main series, okay, and then Snow's head's on the ground. Like, what?
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I know having done most of the rest of the series, so I'm like, how can this be?
Yeah.
How can this work out as a prequel? Actually, just saw today that so they, I don't know if you know this, they made a Wolf Among Us adaptation, a comic.
Right.
So I guess, and it's supposed to be canonical, the main Fable story. So I don't know what choices they made to.
All right, it was not Red, nor was it Snow. It was Faith.
So what's she's supposed to be analogous to?
Formerly a princess, married to Prince Lawrence. That's all it says, really. Her occupation is prostitute and former princess.
That does sound familiar, actually. Jeez. How has it been since you played that?
20. I think I played that 2016, 4 years ago.
It was a couple for me. So I think I got it with Gold.
What a great service.
Ultimate too, Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate.
Right.
Those I really appreciate.
But yeah, I started with The Wolf Among Us and fell in love with the world that was portrayed in that game. And obviously the art style of the game is not the art style of the actual series. But I wish it was.
I would like to see a 2D animated series or something, or movie.
Yes, that would be
more
excellent.
that like more storybook kind of style. Like those, I forgot the artists who did the covers for all those. Really made that's like cover making, like mastery to me. Like it's an art form in itself, like capturing people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
All of them got me for sure.
Yes.
But the I had a prior to this.
I felt like Telltale's formula really fit the game really, really well.
That's what I was thinking of. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no,
it seemed like their style is more like they started with Walking Dead.
Yeah,
visually how it looks, what works really well. Borderlands too, with that cel shaded look. I don't know if the idea originally was to make that Walking Dead game kind of comic booky,
right?
Even though it's not black and white.
Yeah, it does not follow the comics at all.
Yeah.
So
I could see how it's almost like the same kind of situation with Wolf Among Us, isn't it? Like it's kind of meant to be before that story picks up.
I guess so. Yeah. The Walking Dead, what it could do, it could just run simultaneously with the TV show and the comics, because like that's what they did with Fear the Walking Dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
You watched that?
No, but that's what they did with it.
I've read like first 6 volumes, I think, of it, and then I've watched about like the beginning of season 7 of that show, of the main show.
Right. Oh, go ahead.
You guys gonna continue that, and I'll get back to what I was gonna say.
All right.
Walking Dead stuff. Go ahead.
Walking Dead.
Really?
Yeah, we're talking about fables, ladies and gentlemen. I I read the first compendium of The Walking Dead, which is like all of it. It's from beginning up until I want to say the governor's death.
It's like 40 or something.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a thick boy. It's a thick book.
Favorite description. Use it far too often now.
Yes.
So it's like, is the whodunit kind of aspect of Legends in Exile what got you into that, or Wolf Among Us even?
Yeah, I think like most people, I'm a sucker for a really good mystery story. And the game did it really, really well, and the book, or Legends in Exile, does it really well too. However, one thing I will say about but I'm not sure if we're allowed to give spoilers here. It kind of wraps things up rapidly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I know what you're talking about. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the main plot of the book is that Red is missing and or dead. They just find her apartment completely ransacked, and there's blood everywhere. And then they're like, "Yo, we can't find her, and this is her blood." Big B confirms it, and because he's a big bad wolf and that nose boy. But they at the end during the the gala for Remembrance Day, was that what it's called?
Yeah. Remembrance, where you learn like forced all these fairy tale creatures come over to
the Monday
life.
The Monday
yeah,
world.
the Monday, yeah.
And it's there revealed that Red was alive the whole time, and that she's the one that staged the ransacking to get out of a marriage with Bluebeard, who is apparently a mythical figure. I've never heard of Bluebeard before. But so it kind of like the final issue in this volume. There's five issues, I think, to it, and the final issue honestly could have just been like in the 4th one, because it's only, I think, like 10 pages or so. It's really not, I would say, a substantial enough like book. It reminds me, or issue, I guess. It reminds me of the Hobbit movies, how they have 3 of them, and the last one is the Battle of the Five Armies, even though the Battle of the Five Armies is literally the last 20 pages of the Hobbit. So it just kind of confused me as to why they decided to stretch that out. It's like a 2-hour movie.
Oh, wow, you actually continue talking. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. What happened?
My phone. So I'm using my. As we've learned this evening, I let technology run into the ground pretty much. So
okay.
My phone will not charge with my cable. Whatever the port, whatever that the wire goes into, it won't connect. I don't know why, but I use a wireless charging thing, the little dock thing, or whatever. But that is also not the best. So it's a new phone, a new life. That's about it.
Did you hear?
Where'd you leave? You were talking about. Actually, the thing I heard was about Big B being the Wolf Boy or whatever.
Okay.
Always back.
Okay, so then he knows that it's like Red's blood because he can smell it. It's her scent, and so it's a classic. What happened to this person and who done it? Story. And then it's revealed at the end that Red was alive the whole time, and that she staged her death to get out of a marriage with Bluebeard.
That's kind of a classic, kind of like older mysteries. Like I watch a decent amount of 50s movies.
Right.
It's very similar to that. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. And I went on to say that like I felt like the final like chapter of this volume or this, I know it was like 5 issues or whatever. But honestly, I felt like the final issue should have been tacked on to like the 4th one and just made that one really long, because the final issue is literally Bigby just explaining what happened. Yes. And like it shows like Bigby and Snow on the roof, and Bigby tries to hit on Snow, and Snow's like, nope. And so then it ends. Like,
I remember 4 ends like, and I'm going to explain this all to you.
Yep, yeah, and yeah, like the 4th one is like, I'm going to explain all of this. The end. See chapter or issue 5, and it's like, come on. And like I said, like issue 5 is like 10 pages, maybe.
Is it really?
I didn't count. It's really short, but they added stuff at the end to kind of pad out the page count. So the real issue of it is not long at all, but it has more stuff afterwards. It like I related it to the Hobbit trilogy of movies in the way that Battle of the Five Armies is literally like the last 25 pages of the book.
Yes.
But they made it into an entire movie. So it's like, why? Which I know why with probably both of these, money. But, you know.
Sure. My goodness. My least favorite, for sure, of those 3 films.
I'm not a fan of any of them.
Not even Unexpected Journey?
That one, okay. Have you read The Hobbit?
It's been, okay, so I read it in like 5th grade, I want to say.
Okay. I read it in high school, senior year. And I was like, yo, this is amazing. And then I saw Unexpected Journey and Desolation of Smaug before reading the book, so I didn't know how much. Yeah, okay. I didn't know how much stuff they added.
We see any of those together?
No.
Okay. I can't remember who I saw it with.
And so I watched the movies and I was like, why did they add this? Why did they why did they add this and like all this stuff? And then like it changed Thorin Oakenshield. Like in the book, he's kind of there. He's not really a main character. He just kind of guides you along if needed. Like, dwarf, what do you think? And then it's Thorin. In the movie, he's a total jerk the entire time for like no reason, and he only forgives Bilbo, or he only likes Bilbo at the end of it whenever he saves them.
Yeah, sure.
And they also added, like, Azog the Defiler, I think his name is. And Azog the Defiler was dead for centuries before this in the lore of Middle-earth. So it was like, why? And then they added Legolas and a love triangle, and it was just a big mess.
Yeah, I honestly could see 2 movies.
Yep.
Of that, but not 3.
No. I've gone on record saying they should do, like, if you're going to make a Hobbit movie, I would say do 2 like 3-hour movies. I
remember something like, I wish I didn't even think about it. When a kid reading, I was like, oh, it's a cool story, whatever. But seeing the movie, it is kind of like, okay, and then they did this, and then they did this, and then they did this, they did that.
Yeah.
And that's like in one movie that wouldn't be very interesting. And I don't know, they get to spend a little more time on some of those areas than they did in the book.
Yeah.
Or the man, Tolkien himself.
Yeah. Well, The Hobbit is technically a children's book.
Yeah.
And then you get into like Lord of the Rings, and that's and you get into Lord of the Rings, and that's whenever it gets like uber detailed.
A connection to Tolkien that takes us back to Fables, believe it or not. You know, of course, one of his contemporaries, C.S. Lewis, does Narnia, right? Did you catch that? There's like an Aslan.
Yeah. I saw it. They killed Aslan.
I like what they said. Like, they're talking about when the adversary is on his tree or whatever, and they didn't do anything. Like, there's like kind of stuff happened. But it's like, they said like, well, he was always a little more holier than thou for us, so we didn't intervene or whatever.
If my memory of Narnia serves me, wasn't Aslan basically God?
Well, he would be more Jesus.
Yeah,
because he, the avatar of God, if you will.
Yeah.
Because he's sacrifices himself and then
right.
was resurrected.
Right. Yeah.
To just shoot the guy. I love it. There's there's a lot of other like throughout the series. Concepts besides just like what's their names? I can't think of like the brothers like Grimm characters.
Right.
They go beyond that pretty decently, I think.
Yeah.
Can't think of any off the top. Like there's like a Robin Hood, I believe.
That and next to Robin Hood is Alice in Wonderland.
Okay, yeah. What I really like, I can't remember if it was in this one. Is Robin Hood? If Robin Hood was in this one?
It was in like one of the stills showing them running from the adversary. Yeah, he's saving.
Okay,
he has Alice.
Yeah. So it's actually a different look. So I guess Mark Buckingham, the other artist. See a little bit more with him later, but he looks a lot different. But what I like is he actually looks almost just like Green Arrow.
Oh, nice!
Which is awesome. It's, because Green Arrow is basically Robin Hood. So
right.
That's amazing to me. So my very first so I'd heard of Fables before. At a free comic day at Cool Comics in Valdosta, Georgia. Probably haven't talked about that yet this episode. This episode, quote unquote. Have you free comic day? You get, depending on your shop, you get 1 or 2 free comics, and then there's a sale usually, or whatever. So I just go through the long boxes and see what I can find, and get issue 10 actually. I want to say of Fables, and it's crazy that because it's the last issue of the second arc. So I'm just thrown into this, and it's amazing to me because I'm like, okay, there's all these storybook characters, and it looks cartoony, kind of, if you will.
Right.
But then we're getting killed, like nonchalantly. Yeah. It's very interesting, like that juxtaposition of the horrific and cartoony.
I notice a lot of times with comics, whenever they want to like portray accurate characters and whatnot with swearing, and like more inappropriate behavior, we could say. They'll oftentimes go overboard with it, but I felt like the swearing in this was extremely accurate to their situations at hand and how someone would talk in these situations.
Yeah. That's an interesting note.
Yeah. Like
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, like Jack, whenever he's being accused of murder, and same with Bluebeard, they flip. Because,
go off. Yeah,
that's pretty much how anybody would react whenever you're being accused of something you didn't do. Generally, I've heard this from like actual like psychologists and whatnot, and so it's not just me. Generally, people that are falsely accused of something will get irate immediately. And so it was nice to see that was accurately portrayed in this.
Interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
So it's so absurd. Like, I didn't do that. It's absurd that you would think I did something I didn't do.
Yeah, exactly. It's especially with their relation to the character that they're being accused of murdering. Like, Bluebeard.
Murder specifically? Like, is that a thing from what you've read or whatever?
Oh, no. It could be with anything.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, if you could think back at a time in your life whenever you've been accused of something that you didn't do, I don't know about you, but that is like one thing that is guaranteed to send me. Like,
like when my grandma would say, like, "You're a handsome boy," and I'm like, "No, I'm
not." You're lying.
I just wonder what you've seen or read or whatever, like about when someone like you're trying to cover yourself. Did they ever talk about that? Like,
it's more just like I don't know. I don't remember where I read it either. It was like an accredited place. It wasn't like, just some willy-nilly article. It was, I don't remember who said it, but it
was a Facebook friend. I guess.
Yeah, totally.
I'm just wondering, like, if someone, like, say they did do whatever they're accused of, the conversation, it seems like I've seen, just off the top, I think I'm like, seems, I don't know, like, the person did do it, but they still have that sensibility to go berserk. I don't know.
A lot of time, I would think that would be almost like a person's fight or flight being triggered. Like, I've been caught, and I have to react to this in some kind of way, and I'm angry that I've been caught. A lot of times, like, a good liar would probably do a mixture of both, which may make someone a psychopath.
And in comms, like, boy, oh no, it's not looking good. You murdered him. No, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
You got me totally confused.
I don't know. If I was accused of murdering someone, I wouldn't get irate immediately, I can genuinely say. I'd be like, what?
Murder? I feel like if someone... I wonder if, like, laughing would be a defense mechanism as well. Like, what? What? It's ridiculous.
A lot of times, this is an amazing tangent, but a lot of times what someone will do, that you could tell that they're lying or they're guilty of the thing that they're being accused of, is they'll do the whole, well, maybe somebody had a good reason for doing something, like whatever it may be. Like, they'll be like, oh, well, maybe it was self-defense, that sort of thing. Like, in regards to murder, they'll try to rationalize it in some type of way. Generally, that's what a guilty person will do. And, I mean, there are certain things that it doesn't matter how you want to act. You can get found out just by certain unintentional, like, responses that your body gives off. Like, say, this is the metaphor, or not metaphor, this is the situation that they used in the thing that I watched or read, I don't remember. They said, let's say some money got stolen out of the office petty cash jar. And they'll ask you straight up, did you take the money? If it takes someone, or they'll ask, is there a reason someone could have seen you near the money at this time? And then if you take a second to, like, answer that question, you probably did it. Yeah, that's what they say. I remember what it was now. Maybe it's not the most accredited source after all, actually. It was Dr. Phil on the Joe Rogan podcast, so who knows?
Oh.
Yeah.
I've never listened to Joe's show.
I recommend it, if a guest interests you.
Right, sure. No, I would definitely like to listen to that Tony Hawk one.
Dude, that one's so good.
I kind of fell into a little Tony Hawk video content stuff for a second.
Yeah, I love Tony Hawk, just in general. He's a king.
I don't know if you saw the little video he did with Jack Black on Jablinski games.
I don't think so.
So they're like playing, the remastering Pro Skater 1 and 2?
Yes.
So they played it, but then they went to a skate park, skated, and Jack's, he's, oh man, check out this sick trick. He skates. I mean, he gets up to like the edge of the steps, jumps off. They cut it real fast, where he's zooming through there, and he gets back, then gets back on the board. It's like, hey, that's what an idol, Jack Black. Man.
Oh yeah, what a guy. What were we talking about?
Right, so like, I forgot what it was. Probably this graphic literature.
Right.
But I spent actually a lot of time. I don't know if I told you I've read 13 volumes of Fables.
Oh, wow.
Thereabouts.
Okay.
So at VSU, Odom Library, they had like 15 or something consecutive volumes.
Mm-hmm.
So like my last year or so, I was just reading that all the time because I definitely got the most out of a college experience just sitting in the library reading comics.
I wouldn't blame you. It's a nice stress relief. I don't know. I found reading it to be, I found reading it to be extremely like relieving to me. Like the other day, I had to pick up a prescription, and they were like, "Yeah, it'll be like 30 minutes." And I was like, "All right, I'll just wait 30 minutes then." And so I just sat there and read, and then I went in 30 minutes later, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's not ready yet. You give us another like 10 minutes." And I was like, "All right." And so I just got back in my car and kept reading it, and that's when I finished it. And
I'd get sometimes with this one, especially like into like addiction mode.
Right.
Just like, oh man, just gotta read. That's kind of unfortunately a major symptom of comic reading anyway for me. That addictive thing.
Like I told you the other day, I was stressing out because I could not find Fables anywhere, and I went to like I checked Amazon, and they're like, "Oh, it's not going to get there till the 20th." I was like, "Well, that's no good."
So you ordered it, man. And made you spend money on this?
No. I was going to because I wanted to read it anyway, but and I was like, "Oh, perfect opportunity." But I was like, "Hey, when do you want this done?" And then you were like, "By the 10th," and I was like, "Well, that's not going to work." So I looked on. For some reason I was like, let me check Comixology. If it's on there and I have to buy it, I'll just buy it on there. No big deal. And then it said borrow, and I guess Comixology's partner with Prime or something. I don't know, but I read the whole thing for free.
Yeah, for what I may be spending more money than I should. I need to Because I have Prime and Comixology Unlimited, so.
Okay.
I know. If you do want to read some more, I know the second volume is on there too.
Right.
Actually, have you used DC Universe before?
No, I haven't.
That's also one of the Prime. Even though I hate big corporations and everything, real nice, but that's probably the best entertainment value that I can think of. How much? Reading movies and your Prime delivery or whatever and stuff.
Yeah.
DCU is actually really good because it's like $8 a month. That's okay. Half of it is like Comixology, then the other half is they have TV and movies and stuff.
Oh wow!
So I was yesterday I was watching Batman Brave and the Bold. I don't know if you watched that.
I forgot about that show until just now.
So I wrote that off when it was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how cool it is. So it's like part Adam West Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Part the actual Brave and the Bold, which I didn't realize at the time that there was one. It's like a team up. I don't know if you know, like Batman is teaming up with someone like Spider-Man team up is and that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
It's really good. It's a love letter to DC and everything.
That's awesome.
Cool. But anyways, I hear a lot about this Harley Quinn show. It's pretty good.
Your thoughts on Rocksteady's next game, which, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, is apparently going to be called the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League.
Yeah. At first, when you first told me, I was like, no, I'm not interested. No. But it's kind of like I'm curious. Okay, are we playing as either team, or are we playing as members from both sides, or
right?
Just one character? Is it a Harley Quinn game, really, and we're just calling it this?
Like Birds of Prey.
From what I hear, yes. So I haven't seen that.
Oh, dude, that movie. Okay, so people crapped all over that movie. I went in with it with no expectations and had a blast.
To be honest, that was my Suicide Squad.
Did you like Suicide Squad?
I liked it. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see it, and then you and your boys dragged me out to see it, at 11 or 12 or something.
Yeah, it was really late.
Whatever. I'll go. You guys were hyped for it, and I wasn't. So you guys hated it,
dude,
and because it's after BVS, which killed me.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I remember that. You were close to crying watching Batman versus Superman. And not for the reasons that Zack Snyder wanted.
Oh, man. Wouldn't it be nice if we did? Because the Martha thing.
Oh, Martha! Dude, we should review those for, this podcast. We should watch the Ultimate Edition of BVS, because I've heard it's better, apparently.
You haven't seen it either? I haven't.
No.
Yeah.
We should do that. That would be fun, I think. Have instead of a book club, a movie of the week, just a one-off thing, just to see, I feel that would be fun.
Maybe we can. What are your thoughts on the Snyder Cut situation?
Okay. I am looking forward to it for the sole reason of I absolutely hated the comedy in Justice League, and I have a strong feeling that that's gonna be almost entirely cut out. It's what I feel, because none of Zack Snyder's movies are funny that I've seen. None of them. Even Batman vs Superman, I don't think had any funny moments unless you were laughing at Jesse Eisenberg in that movie.
He kind of is. He actually kind of is a little bit of the comedic relief in a dark way, I guess.
Yeah, in probably all the wrong ways, in my opinion.
With that Justice League movie, all the heroes had funny moments, even Batman, who should be the straight man.
Yeah, I know you don't like Bruce Wayne, but he's stoic. He's very He is the Andy Griffith to what should have been the Flash's Barney Fife or something.
My God. I love that. Oh my goodness. I mentioned Andy Griffith before a couple weeks ago, actually.
Yeah, man. I was listening to that earlier today, and it's been stuck in my head. That show is one of the best ever.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Have you seen the color episodes?
No. I could genuinely say
the last season or so.
Yeah, I've never watched the colored episodes, unfortunately.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. That's the thing.
I've seen a scene from It's a Wonderful Life in color, and that was weird.
Yeah, it's like finding out that the house in the Addams Family TV show, the walls are pink. It just doesn't show up because it's black and white, but the walls in that house are pink from like the colored photos I've seen. Yeah.
Have you've watched The Munsters?
No. Well, I know what it is, and I've seen like like episodes here and there, but I've never like sat down and watched it.
It's kind of like the Marvel to Addams Family's DC, if you will, or whatever.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Or Beatles, or Rolling Stones, whatever.
Right.
Apparently, Eddie Munster, the kid, his suit was actually brown, I guess, and it was kind of bizarre seeing that too.
Yeah,
it's black and white. Like what? No.
It's like the Twilight Zone. I don't want to see the Twilight Zone in color. That show works really well. I hate to interrupt. That show works really well for me due to it being black and white, and so the episodes that they use shadow, it's like legitimately creepy because it's dark and you can't see.
You watch these newer, like 90s, or even the most recent take on that on Twilight Zone?
I want to say I saw the movie, which is just recreation of like classic episodes, like the most famous ones. My
God, I didn't realize that existed.
Yeah,
I realized that existed.
I think that was in the 80s. They just like made like 5 episodes and then made it into a movie. And I don't remember if they're connected, like tied together. I haven't seen the Jordan Peele one. I've actually heard it's like not missing that much in terms of, especially
that's what I've heard as well.
Compared to the other ones, it's like really disappointing. People are like looking to him to be like the new face of horror or something, and I'm not sure. I'm not hating on the guy at all because he's awesome. You know, Get Out was really, really good, and Us was pretty decent too.
Who's to say how much he actually did with that show? Like, cause wasn't he? I believe I've heard that he was making Us when Twilight Zone was in production. So
right.
For people to say like, yeah, oh yeah, he probably just came in and said, oh yeah, sure, no, sure, okay, see ya, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, with the Hollywood design, probably. I felt like Us, or even Get Out, really could have been, 2 great episodes of the Twilight Zone. Because if you think about it, I don't know if you've seen Us, but they both are, really.
Yeah, not yet.
Us wasn't as good as Get Out, but it was still, I liked it. Like, a lot of people didn't like it, like the twist ending or whatever. I liked it.
We have jumped from one topic to the next without necessarily including the last thought, and I apologize for that. So if you don't mind just for a second, it's between you and me. Go back to talking about the Suicide Squad versus Justice League. What were your hopes for that?
I'm hoping that Rocksteady strikes again and makes another great comic game, because I've actually restarted playing Arkham Knight yesterday.
Oh.
And it's still like really, really good. Like, I mean, it only came out 5 years ago, but it's so good, and they dig deep on comics. That's what I love about it.
And that, like, they've done that like that whole series too.
Mm-hmm. They really dig deep on them. Like, I learned about so many villains because of like the Arkham Asylum like character bios that you get by getting Riddler trophies, and solving riddles. Like, I didn't know about Killer Moth. I didn't know about Great White Shark. Freaking Tweedledee and Tweedledum, like Humpty Dumpty, really, like.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I was familiar with Mad Hatter. Games.
Yeah, that one did it for me too. Although he's in he's the main focus of one of the animated series episodes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I think it's actually called Mad as a Hatter.
Much content, brother. It's good. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it really, really is. That's like, I feel like all the people that were like bored during like the pandemic and whatnot, like having to stay home, and I'm just like, dude, there's so much. If you have the internet.
No, like, honestly, when I see people making posts like, oh man, what's good to watch on Netflix or whatever, it's like, maybe I should ask for recommendation of people, but I've like never needed that.
No,
like my backlog is already enormous.
Yeah, it's insane.
Basically every every medium, just about like. And I will impulse buy stuff sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered about this series called The Lost Regiment or whatever, and it's about this Civil War era Union regiment that gets like transported to a parallel universe or whatever. So, oh my god, yeah, it's $7, whatever. Sure, I'm just gonna buy it, even though it'll probably be a while before I actually get to it.
That does sound pretty cool. I think that Rocksteady could do an amazing job. They haven't really said what it's about, but I know that WB, there's several DC comic games in the works right now. Like, it's been confirmed for a while that I want to say it was WB Montreal, which is who made Arkham Origins, which is the black sheep of those games. I like that game. But, I like that game, but it's not the best one by any stretch. That I want to say they're making a game called Gotham Knights. Yeah,
but that's I love that world, Batman's world, but it's like, okay, like, can we get a different hero, a Flash game or something? I don't know honestly how that would work out. Like a Sonic, Sonic game, platformer.
I was talking about that with some of my buddies yesterday. It was like, how could you make like a Superman game that would be like really good and accurate? It would be super hard. No pun intended. Well, because you think about it, you're basically like that city's like god, if you will, and you're just super powerful, and you're against super powerful enemies. I guess like, and you would have to like discourage from just flying away from fights that are too tough, because that was the problem with Anthem, is that you could just fly away.
I never tried that out.
Yeah, I didn't either, but that's the like criticism I've heard about it, is that like there's no like locking you to the ground during some parts. Like, oh, you have to do this. You can just fly away. And that's...
Did you play the Superman Returns game?
No. I wasn't sure if that existed or if I was Mandela affecting, but no, I did not.
It did. I experienced it.
Okay.
As far as I know. I didn't finish it because my disc got messed up, whatever. But I enjoyed that. What I played of. I mean, it's not like Arkham Asylum or whatever, but
yeah, Arkham Asylum. That if we're talking about like comics and whatnot, that game is what ignited my love for comics. Like
that might be the case.
That did it. Like, I was in 5th or 6th grade whenever I played that, and it knocked like my socks off. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, this is so cool. And it's still one of my favorite games ever. But it went so deep with like the comic lore of Batman, and they did such a good job with the environment and whatnot.
And they make their own too pretty well. Like, it's not just like it is.
Yeah,
there's some animated series influence and their own stuff.
Right.
Like when the Joker and out or whatever, pretty neat.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so that started it for me. And the first comic, well, I guess this one is more of a graphic novel, but it's The Thief of Always by Clive Barker, but the graphic novel
really
version. Yeah, it's a graphic novel
it's an
version.
adaptation.
Yeah, and it's so good. It was so cool. And that kind of started it for me. And then after that, I think the next one I got, talking about the comics I have is going to make me sound like such a casual, but I read Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe after that.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah,
I borrowed your copy, I believe, actually.
Yeah, we traded. You gave me Moon Knight, I think, like a volume of an arc of Moon Knight, and we traded that, and then it just went from there.
And so today, the thrift store I work at, I won't say what it is because they came after me actually about some social media stuff, so I won't say.
Oh, lame.
Like, it's like a slight like passive aggression with me, whatever.
Right.
Today we got in a leather bound copy, so it was Frank Miller's Batman is what it says. So it's got Year One, Dark Knight Returns, and some like Christmas special issue, whatever. But it was leather bound. No. It was something with Santa. It was something he had did. Someone else. I forget who it is.
Okay.
Well, I've never seen. It's like a Bible or something.
Wow, I want that.
A leather-bound comic. I've never seen that before. That was amazing.
Do you know what the price will be on that thing?
If they put it out, it would be like $3.
Oh,
maybe $2.
Oh, I may have to venture over there for that one.
Yes. See if I can put it out in the next couple of days, because sometimes stuff gets we have so much donations at this place that some stuff is set off for a while and doesn't get put out.
Right.
Yeah, that was really cool to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to read both of those things, so that would be like perfect to get, just because it's like leather bound and gorgeous. But I also
haven't read Dark Knight Returns?
Believe it or not, no. Yeah, I know about. I watched like the first the animated movie that they made, but I never saw part 2.
Yes, you did see. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
it's really good.
What are they called? The Radicals? Is that what they're called? I don't remember.
I don't know, like the mutant guys or
the
whatever.
Mutants,
the
Radicals.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
My favorite Batman lines when they fight, like either the head guy, the mutants. He says like they're fighting and it's raining and whatever. It's like, this isn't a mud hole. It's an operating table, and I'm the surgeon. Whatever. Nice. Really cool.
Yeah, that's a dope line right there.
And the second stuff is the Superman.
Yes.
Second part, which from the comic has that stuff woven in before then, but for the adaptation they saved all the Superman stuff for part 2.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really not in the first part at all. It ends with the defeat of the mutants. Yeah.
Right on, brother. I appreciate your time.
Heck yeah,
and your assistance, and you're doing all the work for me, basically. On this.
It's no problem, dude. I don't mind at all.
Hopefully soon, in the near future, I will have a better setup, and whatnot, to get this thing cooking to a better experience for you, for me. Thank you so much, guy.
No problem, brother. Anytime, man. Anytime.
Should this be released? Let people know where you can be. Your YouTube channel and stuff.
My YouTube channel is L3ghair with a 3 instead of an E. Do not ask me where I got that name. I genuinely don't know.
Okay,
I came up with it. Same with my Instagram. I think my Instagram is L3ghair42, or maybe it's just L3ghair at this point. I don't remember. Yeah, 42.
At one point, it was an actual E.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
But the 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So that's where I got that part from. But the leg hair, I have no idea.
How hairy are your legs these days?
Not enough. Not enough to be called leg hair.
I don't have too much hair on my body, but my head is insane.
Nice little pun, Mr. Ensayne. My head is bare at the moment.
Well, there it is. Messy but fun, baby. Yeah, I definitely plan on having leg hair back on the show. It's a shame that I totally forgot to bring up Once Upon a Time with Logan, like I had planned, because it has a similar premise to Fables. We got fairy tale characters in the modern world, Fabletown versus Storybrooke. Really like to hear his thoughts on that, because I love both, and I would point fans of one to check out the other. Definitely must see, must read, and must watch. Next week, we'll be reading Stars and Stripe to feed that Stargirl fire that I have going on. So, until then, I'm Hayden Ensayne. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you listen again.